Well, we were just talking about him. We've got an update for you in terms of Julian Alvarez and his future at Atletico Madrid. And the update is he's missed training with Atletico Madrid for the third day in a row. Reported a stomach upset earlier on this week. It's now day 3 of him being absent from training as the transfer saga around him rumbles on. We've had a statement from Atletico Madrid president saying they will not sell him to Barcelona. Arsenal potentially interested, but for the third day in a row, Julian Alvarez not at training with Atletico Madrid. OK, let's turn our attention now to Arsenal and one of their potential targets is Julian Alvarez. Chris, what is the latest on this morning? Has the dial shifted from when I asked you this yesterday?
Do you know what? There's just been so many statements from Atletico Madrid, from Barcelona, Arsenal's interest. It's kind of hard to keep up. But look, the latest is Atletico Madrid CEO yesterday, Miguel Angel Gil. He gave an interview to Movistar and he said his dream now is for Alvarez to stay at Atletico Madrid. Now, this kind of looked unlikely when we spoke yesterday because of the fact that Alvarez hadn't turned up for training for a couple of days. He's obviously said he's got this stomach bug, but also just the reaction in Atletico Madrid's La Liga opener as well, where he received such a bad reception from the Atletico Madrid fans. The fact that Alvarez came out very publicly in the World Cup saying that he wanted to leave Atletico Madrid. This kind of ongoing beef, I guess, between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, with Juan Laporta from Barcelona coming out very publicly saying that they still want to sign the player, but Atletico Madrid, again, another statement yesterday saying that they don't want to enter negotiations with Barcelona. They're really unhappy about how those went at first. In the background is Arsenal, and they're really interested in Alvarez. But Alvarez has always had his heart on Barcelona. But you've got this relationship with Andrea Berto, who brought Alvarez from Man City into Atletico Madrid. Mikel Arteta's a huge fan of Alvarez, so if he can do a deal, they'd love to do that deal. But you need all these moving parts to work. Now, you need Alvarez to want to join Arsenal. You need Atletico Madrid to definitely not sell to Barcelona. And, of course, you're going to need Arsenal to formalise their interest if Alvarez does want to come.
Well, the Atletico Madrid president said he would never, ever, ever sell Alvarez to Barcelona. So it sounds as though that there is no way that deal could get done. Arsenal, perhaps another story, But Perry, if his preference has been Barcelona, and he's made that really quite clear, as a player, if your heart is set on going somewhere, how can you be persuaded to go somewhere else?
I think the never, ever, ever, ever. I think there's a song in there somewhere.
Taylor Swift, yeah, I'm glad you put it. I wasn't sure you were going to get my reference, so I didn't say it, and then you did.
It's one for the kids.
Yeah.
I think from Atletico Madrid's point of view, is you're not going to sell Alvarez to Barcelona because they're one of their main rivals to try and win the Liga, and you're not going to want to make them stronger. So I must admit, I think it all comes down to Alvarez, and you'd have to trust all Arsenal fans because of what's been happening at Arsenal under Arteta, and obviously since Andrea Berta's been in. We trust them. We trust them because they will be talking to Alvarez's people to see if they're interested, and then it's talking to the player himself. And if you talk to a player and they have any sort of doubts or misgivings, then you don't sign them. But if you talk to the player and you can tell that the player, not desperately, but wants to come and play for you and wants to come back in the Premier League. We saw him be brilliant for Man City for his 2 seasons. He got 17 goals when they won the treble and 19 goals the season after. And he was obviously Erling Haaland's stuntman, basically. But if he goes to Arsenal, he becomes the main man. He becomes the main forward at Arsenal. So that's the little carrot that they'll be dangling with him. Say, come on then. But if it doesn't work out, there's always never, ever, ever, ever. But in football, there is an ever. You can make your way back. If he doesn't go and he's left out for a couple of weeks, he goes back, he gets booed, he scores 3 goals in 3 games, then the Atletico Madrid fans forget about it.
And what we were hearing out of Spain yesterday was the fact that Alvarez's stance might be slightly softening in terms of coming to Arsenal. Now, Arsenal still believe that a deal is very unlikely. And I guess the knock-on effect will be if he does come to Arsenal, Atletico Madrid will need to replace him. And apparently someone on their list, again, with what we were hearing from Spain yesterday, is potentially Victor Gyökeres. So, again, it's that domino effect, isn't it, that can happen in this transfer window.
Well, what would Alvarez give Arsenal that Gyökeres doesn't?
Gyökeres is a completely different... Gyökeres is like a physical player up front where he engages centre halves, uses physicality, gets in the channels. Alvarez is what I call a floating player, where he can play as just the centre forward, he can play up front as a 2, he can play just off the centre forward. So if Gyökeres stayed, you can play Gyökeres with Alvarez just floating in behind him. He can play on the left, he can play on the right. So he's like a forward's equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. He can do it. He's that good. He can do everything. So and also if you're going to leave Atletico Madrid, you want to go to a team that has realistically got a chance of winning the Champions League. And Arsenal have a realistic chance this season of winning the Champions League. And you'd be just tickling him with his people and him saying, you're going to come up, you'll be the star, you're going to be our main man, you're not going to be a number 2 like you was at Man City. So, as you said, there's loads of different moving parts. But if they get the go-ahead, then don't mess about. If they want 120 million, just say, OK, right, here's your 120 million and get it done.
Let's stick with Arsenal, but shift gears slightly, because Al Hilal are making progress with their move to sign Arsenal's forward Gabriel Martinelli. I mean, Chris, just how close is this move this morning?
I wouldn't say it's close to kind of being completed yet, but things are moving in the right direction. Like you said, they're making progress with the move. No kind of deal agreed, no fee agreed for Gabriel Martinelli. But interestingly, yesterday, when we had Gary Cottrell outside the Arsenal training ground, he said he saw Martinelli leave that training session early, way before any of the other Arsenal players. Then in Mikel Arteta's news conference, he said the winger was excused from training for a personal matter. Now, all of those signs, they lead you to the fact that this deal is progressing. Martinelli not being involved as well in the first couple of games for Arsenal, I think, extremely telling, especially how much he played last season, and especially the fact they've sold Leandro Trossard. Zolis has come straight in, which for a player, it looked really good, but for a player like Martinelli, who maybe has been on the slight decline, hasn't maybe progressed as Arsenal fans would have liked to, especially seeing how Saka's kind of gone like that and Martinelli's maybe gone like that. I think all of those factors lead me to think this is progressing, but there's still a lot to be done.
From a sort of player's perspective, would you make the move to Saudi, or would you stay and fight for your place?
I have to think about that, really. Saudi, £400,000 a week, tax-free for 2 years. Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll go. No, but it's easy for us to sit and pontificate, and because I didn't realise Martinelli's only 25.
Yeah, exactly.
So Arsenal bought him for £6 million, and Arsenal not normally a selling club, and he's fallen down the pecking order. So he knows full well that he's not going to get in front of, say, Max Dowman, for instance. I know he plays on the left, but obviously Solis has come in. He's not been in the 20 squad for the Community Shield, obviously the first game against Coventry. So as a player, especially at 25, you want to be playing football. And from the outside, you go, mate, you're coming into your peak. Why aren't you playing in the Premier League or one of the top leagues in Europe? But when I've just said about the financial implications, where you're talking generational money for your family, and he might think, you know what, I'll go and have a little jog about in the Saudi Pro League, which isn't like the best standard in the world. I'll be there for 2 years. I'll get myself 40 million quid tax-free, and then I might think about coming back when I'm 27. So, you know, I would say good luck to him, and doesn't need anybody to drive him around in Saudi Arabia.
For a 6-figure salary per week?
Oh, 5. That'll do.
Okay,
yeah.
that's good negotiating. But also as well, we know now as well, don't we, that going out to Saudi isn't the end of players' careers. We've seen guys continue to play internationally on that as well. You mentioned sort of Arsenal's record when it comes to selling. Only Sunderland, Hull and Coventry actually got lower record sales than Arsenal. They are not a club that historically sells particularly well. Why is that?
Arsenal aren't a selling club. Arsenal aren't interested in developing players. All the clubs like the Brightons and the Brentfords, which I get. I think, is it Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is the biggest? Like, is it 13 million?
Sort of him, Iwobi and Smith Rowe around that £30 million mark, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So if Arsenal sell, normally Arsenal sell to the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid. Obviously, we've seen Fabregas go to Barcelona, we've seen Thierry go to... Robin Van Persie was really the only big signing that went to like another, obviously Man United, but at the time, Arsenal, we were pants. So I understood Van Persie going to Man United and he won the Premier League the next season. So yeah, I'm not bothered if we get like 2, 3, 4 million